Hi friends, my name is Subin and I'm from Korea. Please like and subscribe. When my mom was pregnant with me, so was her best friend.
When our kids are born, they'll be buddies just like us.
And Ben and I were growing up. He was my pal. One time, Ben and I were playing and he was running after me. Then he accidentally nudged me and I fell down the stairs. I hit my head. But before I could cry, Ben started wailing.
No, Subin! Oh my god, it's all my fault. Does it hurt? Let me pick you up. Gosh, you're heavy. Subin! Are you okay?
Ben? I'm fine, really. Saying that I hugged him. Ben was such a softie. I did get an infinity stone on my forehead, like Vision, but I didn't blame Ben. He was the best, and I wished we'd always be together. But when I was 5, Ben and his parents had to move to France for a work opportunity. And I missed him so much. As if things couldn't get any worse. Dad suffered a huge loss in his business soon after. Slowly, I saw how bad Mom and Dad's relationship was getting because of money problems. And after a few years, Mom left us. But Dad always tried to make me happy. We were so short on money that we had to shop at thrift stores, but he spent hours looking for the things I'd like.
Look at this jacket, Subin. It has rhinestones. You love rhinestones.
It is pretty, Daddy.
See? I told you we'd find some good stuff here.
Since I was a good student, I got a scholarship at my school and relieved Dad of that burden. I worked hard and was a top student. I needed to keep the scholarship. And when I was in the 10th grade, something awesome happened. Ben and his parents had returned to town and moved into a big mansion. And seeing Ben on the first day of school after summer vacation, my heart started beating fast. And then he swept me into his arms.
Subin! Oh my god, you haven't changed a bit!
But you have. You're so tall and wow, whoa, so muscular. Ben and I were in the same class and we started hanging out together all the time. But I soon realized he was getting way too much attention from all the girls, especially Haran. And she was the worst. She acted like she owned the whole town just because her mom was the mayor. And to my horror, Ben and Haran soon started dating. I hated her. But for Ben's sake, I pretended to be nice, and she did the same. She acted like a saint in front of Ben, but not when he wasn't around. She'd do petty things like pull out the chair when I was about to sit, and she would always comment on my clothes and appearance.
I'm saying all this for your benefit. No one likes a girl who looks so poor.
I'd rather be poor than a jerk like you. Gosh, what did Ben ever see in that witch? One time for lunch, Ben had gotten the yummiest pizza, and we were enjoying it when Haran came and hugged him tight.
Oh, I missed you so much in art class. Why didn't you join it, Benny Wenny?
You know I'm a science guy, babe. Here, wanna have some pizza?
She refused, and then Ben packed the leftovers and told me I should take them home because he was full. Dad and I never ordered out much, and I was happy to share it with him. A few weeks later, it was Ben's birthday, and he invited me to his place. I saw how Ben and Haran were dancing so close to each other, and it made me feel so jealous. I went to the balcony for some fresh air. After a while, I was headed back inside when Haran and some of her friends came, and I hid behind a plant.
You've really got yourself a hot boyfriend this time, Haran.
Yeah, he's totally wrapped around my fingers. He adores me and gives me the best gifts. There's just one problem. His miserable beggar friend. Oh, I really hate her. You know, Ben cares for her so much that he gets her favorite pizza for lunch every day and pretends to be full so she can take the leftovers home. He really pities her and she has no shame. She could probably live on his charity forever.
Why would Ben tell her something like that?
What? So pathetic.
Wiping my tears, I just ran back home. After that date, I sort of ignored Ben, even though he asked me if something was wrong a million times. I just didn't need his pity or his charity. When we were in our senior year, our teacher announced a science tournament and the winning team was going to get an amazing cash prize. Dad and I could always use the money, so I immediately signed up for it and I was paired with Ben. I tried to get my partner changed, but the teacher said it was final.
So you wanna come over to my place to brainstorm some ideas?
No thanks.
Hey, Subin. I don't know why you stopped talking to me, but come on. This is a great opportunity. Let's do this together, please.
I knew Ben was a science genius and being paired with him was probably the best thing. So I reluctantly agreed. We came up with some really cool ideas and I ended up at his place almost every day to work on them. But I noticed how his mom was never around. A few times I asked about her, but he'd always ignore the question. But one time, Ben and I were at a park near his home, and he asked me the strangest question.
Subin, do you ever miss your mom? Does she call you? How does it feel to live with just one parent?
I never really thought about it. I guess it's not so bad knowing how much my dad loves me. It's not exactly a secret that we don't have much money, but he goes out of his way to make me happy. I don't know how to live with two parents, but the one I have, I love to bits.
That's really sweet, I asked because, well, my mom, she isn't well. She's going through treatment. Sometimes it's really hard to see her like that.
Oh God, Ben, I'm so sorry. I didn't know he was going through such a rough time.
Subin, why'd you stop talking to me?
Taking a deep breath, I told him what happened at his birthday party.
Subin, Heron kind of twisted my words. Yeah, I told her you guys were going through a tough time, but because you're my friend and I care about you, not because I pity you. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have discussed it with her at all.
Saying that he came close and swept my bangs aside.
You still have the scar. I was so scared that day. I'm so sorry, Subin.
Hey, it was a long time ago, and it kind of reminded me of you. When you were away, Ben looked at me like he might kiss me, but he suddenly snapped his fingers.
Bazinga! I just got a brilliant idea for our project.
And he sure did. Just a few more adjustments and our model worked. We came first at the science competition, and Ben gave all the prize money to me, saying I did the hard work. It wasn't true, and I knew he was just being kind. Why did such a nice guy have to be with Haran? But then Ben told me one day that he was going to break up with Haran soon. My heart was jumping with excitement, but I pretended to be sad. And when Ben broke it to Heron, the girl had a complete meltdown. She took a bat and smashed all the notice boards around the school during her psycho rampage. Heron suddenly spotted me and was coming right at me, but Ben stepped in between.
Stop making a fool of yourself, Heron. It's over.
You're doing this because of her! Because of this poor, ugly bimbo!
Subin's my best friend, and she's special to me. Don't insult her again.
Haran stomped off furiously, and I was left dazed. Ben just said I was special to him. Whoa. I was on cloud 9, and I just needed to confess my love to my best friend. I didn't have the guts to say it to his face, and we didn't have phones, so I wrote him a letter. Dear Ben, I saw you for the first time in kindergarten, and I've had a crush on you since. What I really want to tell you is that I love you a lot. Subin. During recess, I slipped the note in Ben's bag, but for some reason he got called to the principal's office in the last period. I kept wondering if he saw the letter, and when I got a reply the next day in my locker, I almost had a heart attack.
Dear Subin, I love you too. I was going to tell you, but I didn't have the courage. Let's meet at our spot tonight. I can't wait to kiss you. Ben.
It was like all my dreams were coming true. Wearing a new dress, I went to the park and waited for Ben. I was so excited and nervous. But suddenly I felt someone pull my hair and I landed on my butt. Heron!
Oh, a new dress for Ben! Ha ha ha! He ain't coming, sweetie. He showed us your letter and we're all in fits.
What, you're lying?
Oh no, I'm not. You really think he'd leave me for some poor beggar like you? In your dreams, girl.
Haran kicked me and suddenly I saw red and I pounced on her. But her friends got me off of her and then they all ripped my beautiful dress. I felt so furious that I punched Heron square in the jaw. What happened next was a disaster. Heron called her mom and made up a whole story about how I attacked her for no reason, and her mom made a case of assault against me and actually sent me to juvie for 2 months. My dad was devastated, and so was I. Even worse, Ben never showed his face, not once. Coward! As soon as I got out, Dad and I left town. After weeks of interviews, Dad finally ended up finding a decent job, and I worked as a waitress too, while I studied in a community college. 4 years later, I graduated with a law degree at the top of my class. Luckily, I got hired by a law firm, and just a couple of years later, I became a junior partner. One day, I read a piece of news that filled me with joy. Haran's mom had been arrested for corruption during her time as mayor. The whole family was being publicly humiliated. They deserved it. Sometime later, my firm asked me to set up an office in my old town, and I was kinda glad to return. I wanted to show everyone what I'd made of myself. One day, I was busy doing some paperwork when Heron walked into my office asking me for a job.
Please, Subin, help me! No one in this town wants to hire me or my family for anything. I know I was mean to you.
Cruel, you were cruel to me.
Yes, cruel and terrible. Please, please. Please forgive me.
After Haran begged for a job for days, I finally let her be my personal assistant. And she had to do literally everything I asked. I really made her suffer for a while. It was fun, but then it wasn't. Seeing her qualifications, I gave her a higher position.
Wow, I don't know what to say. Thank you. And this means you've forgiven me?
No, not really, but I'm trying to be a better person, better than people were to me.
Subin, I never wanted things to go so far with you going to juvie and everything. Mom just got carried away. I'm really, really sorry.
After that day, Haran was always nice to me, and so was I. I just didn't want to hold grudges. But one day, as I was walking out of a coffee shop, I bumped into a guy. It was Ben.
Oh my God, Subin, I've missed you. We need to talk.
Suddenly, the memory of him giving my letter to Haran came rushing back. No, stay away from me! But the next day, there were tons of roses in my office and a note from Ben telling me how he wanted to meet at our spot. What a jerk. But this kept happening every day for a week. One day, I got so frustrated that I started throwing them out the window. But Haran stopped me.
Subin, I need to tell you something, and it's gonna make you hate me even more. But I have to. Ben is completely innocent.
What are you talking about?
Ben never got your letter. I stole it from his bag, and I lied that he showed it to me. I made all of that up, and he never showed up to see you because, well, he'll tell you everything. And again, I'm terribly sorry.
I drove to our spot in the park and saw Ben sitting on a bench. And I gave him a chance to explain. Turns out the day I put the letter in his bag, Ben got the news that his mom had suddenly gotten much sicker. And he flew to France with her for some treatment. He stayed there the next 3 months, and he said he called my place and wrote me letters, but he never got a reply. And when he returned, I'd already left town.
I looked for you a lot, but I had no idea where you were or why you'd left without a word, till Haran reached out to me some weeks ago and explained everything she did.
She just told me everything, too. I'm so sorry about your mom. I'm sorry I left without giving you a chance to even explain.
It's all in the past. There's only one thing I need to say to you now, Subin. The thing is, I've always...
Loved me?
Yes!
I've always loved you too, Ben, since forever.
Hey, I'm Luna. Please like and subscribe. I'm about to share a story about the challenges life has thrown at me. My parents, especially my dad, weren't what some would call expressive and loving. They constantly fought and seemed to spend more time hating each other than anything else. Dad always had the TV blaring. The noise kept me up at night, so I often resorted to sleeping with headphones on. I knew he wasn't a bad person. He just had some annoying habits and seemed to enjoy annoying Mom. Mom was kind. She did her best to be the best mom. She'd surprise me with toys and candies. My favorite place was our treehouse, which Mom built for me. It was my escape. I loved spending time there with my bestie Lily.
Luna, everything will be okay. My mom got me 2 dolls, and I want to give you one. Let's grab some ice cream.
Lily was my best friend since kindergarten. She always knew how to cheer me up, sharing her toys with me. We were inseparable, so much so that some people at school mistook us for twins. Plus, Lily had an amazing voice. Sometimes she sang to me until I fell asleep in the treehouse. Lily's family seemed perfect. Her mom was a successful fashion designer, and her dad was a police officer. Sometimes I found myself wishing I was part of her family, but I'd immediately feel guilty knowing my mom loved me. When I was 16, my gymnastics coach said I should compete in another state. Excited, I asked my parents for money to go. Dad, busy with his motorbike, brushed me off.
Wish I could, honey, but I gotta paint the bike. It's my pride and joy.
I could tell Mom wanted to help by the way she looked at me, giving me the "I wish I could help you, dear" look. That day, I made up my mind to do something. I grabbed my dad's motorbike keys, thinking I could ride to the competition myself. But since I didn't really know how to drive, I ended up crashing into a fire hydrant. Dad was furious about his damaged bike. But before he could say anything, Mom intervened.
Don't you dare yell at her!
Mom then hugged me and handed me some money.
Here, take this money. I've been saving it for quite a while now. I love you, baby.
I hugged Mom tightly. I participated in the gymnastics competition and took second place. On the way back, my coach had some really bad news.
Your mom got into an accident while buying ingredients for your favorite apple pie. She's in the hospital now, in a coma.
I couldn't say a word. I just stayed quiet all the way home. When I got back, Dad hugged me and told me not to worry, saying Mom would be okay. Later at dinner, I asked Dad something tough. Dad, can I stay with Lily's family for a bit? It's not that I don't like being with you, but I feel happier there. They really care about me.
Sure, if that makes you happy. I'll talk to Lily's parents.
And Lily's family was really welcoming. Lily's mom used to say,
We're glad to have you, dear. You're like my second daughter from now on.
That's how I ended up living with my best friend's family. They even gave me my own room. Lily's parents were wonderful. They looked after me and made me feel like I was their daughter, even though her dad wasn't always. I loved them with all my heart and thought of them as family. Lily and I even got closer. We'd spend all night talking or playing video games. I still saw my dad from time to time, and he seemed to be improving, becoming nicer.
I'll keep getting better until you say you want to come back and live with me.
Well, that might take some time, but yeah, keep your hopes up. One day, as I was walking around the house, I found a room full of beautiful clothes. Curious, I started trying them on. Lily's mom walked in on me.
You look beautiful. I've always hoped to share my wardrobe with a daughter.
Just then, Lily walked in, and her mom invited her to join.
Lily, darling, come try on some clothes too.
I don't want to.
Soon, I got really close to Lily's mom. We hung out a lot, and I even helped her out at photo shoots, sometimes modeling for her. One day, I was shocked to see my picture on the cover of a big magazine.
I wish Lily liked fashion like you do. Thank you for always being here for me.
I smiled and thanked her for making me feel like part of her family. But something was off with Lily. She started keeping to herself, staying in her room, and didn't want to hang out or do anything with me. When I tried talking to her, she just said,
I want to be left alone.
I was really worried about Lily's sudden change and couldn't figure out what I did wrong. I kept trying to fix things, even apologizing, but nothing worked. She sometimes even yelled at me. I had to give her space, even though it hurt a lot. One evening at dinner, Lily's mom shared some exciting news.
Luna, your teacher called. Your college aptitude test scores were amazing. I'm so proud of you.
Turning to Lily, her mom asked,
And how did yours go, honey?
Oh, I didn't bother with it. I'm going to be a singer, so I don't need it. Maybe one of your famous friends could help produce my album.
I won't do that. I want more for you. You're going to college, and later you can decide what you want.
What? You can't make those decisions for me. I'm going to be a singer, and that's that.
As your mom, yes, I can guide you.
You can't tell me anything.
Lily, stop. Your mom's just trying to help.
You shut up. My life was better before you showed up. Go back to your miserable family and leave us alone. I hate you both.
Angry, Lily knocked all the family pictures off the shelf. After that, her behavior got worse. She began skipping school and got mad whenever someone tried to talk about what she was doing. Lily's behavior toward me got worse, turning her into what felt like a real-life villain. She constantly tried to make trouble for me, and even though her mom always ended up forgiving me, it just made Lily angrier. For example, Lily switched her unfinished homework with mine, confusing my teacher. Luckily, the teacher sorted it out. Lily made a fake social media account with my name, posting embarrassing stuff. It took a while, but I showed it wasn't me and shut it down. Lily hid a library book I borrowed, causing me to get late fees. Her mom found it later and figured out Lily's trick. Lily messed with my bike's brakes. I felt something was wrong before I rode it and stopped myself from getting hurt. This escalated one afternoon when Lily's mom was away on a business trip and her dad was away at work. Lily decided to do something drastic. She turned the backyard into a makeshift movie theater. I'm not sure showing a movie here is a good idea.
Well, it's better than having you around all the time.
The backyard quickly filled with people, the projector buzzing to life. I stayed inside, trying to avoid the chaos, and was flipping through a magazine when suddenly someone stumbled into my room.
Oops, my bad. I was looking for the kitchen. Hey, is that a magazine about vintage cars? My dad collects them, and I've read a bunch about them. Is that the issue with the 60s muscle cars?
Yes, it is. His name was Brian. We discovered we shared a lot of interests and spent the evening chatting in the kitchen. Just as we were really connecting, the screen outside fell over with a crash. Suddenly, Lily and her mom came in.
Look, Mom, I knew it. Luna set up this whole movie thing just to hang out with her boyfriend.
Boyfriend? That's not true. Why would I organize this party? Lily, you're my only friend here.
Then explain him being in your room. This must be your party.
Enough, Lily. I don't think Luna would do this. But young man, it's time for you to go home. Please.
Lily looked so angry and stormed off. She stopped talking to me and just ignored my existence. I kept talking to Brian. Having him in my life was great. He was nice-looking and well-mannered. His family had money, and he shared his dream of becoming a doctor with me. A few days later, Lily's mom called me into the living room where I found my dad sitting.
I really care about you and loved having you here, but things with Lily are getting tough. She's feeling left out. Plus, your dad's been talking to us. He's made some changes, wants you back, and misses you a lot.
The past few months have been really tough without you. I love you and want you to come home.
I didn't say much. When I feel a lot, I find it hard to speak. But I managed to say, "I'll pack my things." I moved back with Dad. And honestly, things weren't bad. He had really improved, and hanging out with him wasn't bad at all. But I ended up blocking Brian. I didn't have a strong reason to cut him off. I felt like I didn't deserve him and just needed a fresh start. A few months after finishing high school, I couldn't go to college right away. Dad didn't have the money because we had big hospital bills for Mom, so I started working as a pizza delivery person. It was tough, but I never thought about quitting. I worked really hard and finally got into college. I planned to study economics and maybe even start my own business someday. While studying, I took any job I could get. Eventually, I managed to rent a tiny apartment with a view of the city dump. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I could finally study and rest there. Dad even helped me buy a used car for my delivery job. Things were starting to get better. I kept working hard, aiming for success. I often thought about Lily and her parents, and my mom too. I missed them a lot. With exams coming up, I studied all night and worked all day. I felt unstoppable, like nothing could slow me down. But one day, while out on a delivery, I suddenly felt very dizzy, and the next thing I knew, I crashed into a tree. I was rushed to the hospital. Everything hurt, but what pained me the most was my thoughts. Why couldn't things just go right for once? I hugged my pillow and burst into tears. Then a young doctor came in, and I was shocked. "Brian, is that really you?" He recognized me too.
I always thought I'd run into the girl who broke my heart again.
Feeling embarrassed, I just looked down and stayed quiet as usual. Brian had finished medical school and was now an intern at the hospital. I apologized, and we chatted for a while and swapped phone numbers. Over time, we got closer and started dating. Brian had the kindest heart, and he even helped me with my college fees. One day, I went to the hospital to bring Brian his lunch and decided to visit Mom afterward. I entered her room, and she looked so peaceful, just like an angel. I gently kissed her forehead. "Mom, I have to tell you something. I tried to replace you. I was so angry when I felt you gave up on me, so I gave up on you. I was angry at Dad, too. Even though the poor man was struggling without you, I used to be mad at Lily. But as I got older, I understood her, and we made up. I'm friends with her mom now, too. I love them, but no love can match yours." Guess what I found out this morning? I'm pregnant. I'm going to surprise Brian tonight on our date. I think he's going to propose, and I'll say yes. "Mom, I'm happy, but my happiness isn't complete without you." Tears overwhelmed me, and I laid my head on her hands. When suddenly, I felt her hands move. Overjoyed, I ran to the doctor like a little kid shouting, "My mommy is awake. My mommy is aware."
Hi, I'm Layla, and I figured out two things very early in life. One, my older sister Fiona is dumb. And two, she really hates me. Fiona is a year older than me, but it didn't take me too long to catch up with her. I was talking before she did, and I learned how to read while she was still struggling with the alphabet. My parents loved showing me off, and I think it really bothered Fiona.
Sweetie, why don't you recite the poems you learned for our guests?
Layla, tell your aunt the cool thing that you read in your encyclopedia yesterday.
Just then, Fiona came running, wearing her bathing suit over her clothes.
"Look at me! I look like a mermaid in my baby soup!"
Your what?
"My baby soup, Mom. Baby soup? This, You don't understand anything I say. Oh, just help me take it off. It's stuck in my limbo."
I think she's saying her bathing suit is stuck in her elbow, Mom.
Oh, I see, Layla. You're so bright, silly Fiona.
Did I mention that? I sometimes taught Fiona the wrong words because it was funny when she sounded stupid. Yeah, I'm not very proud of that now, but that's not the only reason she hated me. I was the only one in my family with red hair, and my parents loved it, especially Mom, who would do all sorts of hairstyles.
Layla, your hair looks so magical. Let's try braids today.
You know why it looks magical? Because she's a leopard clown.
You mean a leprechaun? She told me all the time that my parents pretended to like my red hair, so I wouldn't feel bad.
When you were born, Mom and Dad cried tears of ugliness for days. They even tried to give you up for adoption. No one wanted you.
And one time she even tried to chop my hair off. And things got worse when in 8th grade she failed a class and ended up being with me. As if our parents weren't enough, our history teacher, Miss Sheldon, loved comparing her to me in front of everyone.
Your assignment is just appalling, Fiona. Did you see your sisters? Magnifique! Why can't you be more like her? Didn't you do any research? What's there to research? Someone ugly said something dumb to someone boring a long time ago, and then some lame war broke out. Who cares about this stuff? A person who wants to have an educated mind? Who cares what's on the inside when the package is this pretty? Looks are not important. Huh? That's ugly people talk. Did your boyfriend ever say that? Oh, wait. I bet you've never had one. Detention. Now.
The next day before history class, I saw Fiona putting a mug of coffee on Miss Sheldon's table. While everyone else was snickering, I was instantly suspicious. Fiona, what are you up to?
What? I'm just trying to make up for my behavior yesterday.
What did you put in there?
I don't know. Maybe some spit, maybe some laxative, maybe both. Who can say?
Just then, Miss Sheldon walked in, and Fiona handed her the mug sweetly with an apology. But I tried taking it away from her. I really don't think you should have that.
Why?
I just don't think it's a good idea.
Why? Is there something in the coffee? Layla, tell me now.
No, I just don't think you need to drink coffee. It gives you really bad breath. Give that to me, please. I ended up spilling the whole thing on her white coat.
Oh my God, you dumb butt kisser. You ruined my whole plan.
The next thing I knew, I was in detention too, with Fiona for the very first time in my life. But suddenly, Fiona was freaking popular. No one liked Miss Sheldon much, and everyone thought Fiona was super cool for trying to mess with her. And now she was using her newfound power to turn everyone against me. She was the beautiful, fun blonde, and I was the red-haired, nerdy sister being called things like Carrot Top and Ketchup Head. Boy, could girls be mean. Eventually, the teasing got old, or I just learned to ignore it. But soon I was given an assignment in history class to do a presentation on Scotland. The more I studied, the happier I felt. There were so many cool red-headed Scots, and I definitely felt better about my hair. Before class, I went to the bathroom to change into a kilt. I had spent hours making it just for the presentation. But just then, my sister walked in. She pulled out her phone and started taking pictures.
Going back home, Leprechaun.
Buzz off, Fiona!
You look so stupid. What is that? A cool girl skirt?
It's a kilt. Get out of my way!
You can't leave yet. Leprechauns can't travel without a rainbow.
With that, she pulled out some paints from her backpack and squirted them all over my outfit. I ran out of the bathroom, crying angry tears. Fiona did get detention, but it was her millionth time, and she didn't give a hoot. The next year, I got a fresh start. Our dad had gotten a new job across the state, which meant I was going to a new high school. I was determined to end the teasing that my red hair gave me. Hey, Mom, now that I'm 16, I think I should get to make some choices about my hair. I'd like to change the color.
But your hair is beautiful, sweetie.
I know you like it, Mom, but I just want to try something a little more mature, you know?
I guess if that's what you want, you're growing up so fast.
Thanks, Mom! I ran straight to the store and bought a box of black hair dye, and it worked. My hair was dark and silky. No more red.
Do you think that'll fool anyone? You can't cover up what you are, little leprechaun.
Whatever, Fiona. Don't you have something stupid to do? Go away!
Just saying. The truth always comes out.
The first day of school was like a dream come true. No one said anything about my hair. I blended right in and even got a few compliments on my cute outfit, which I'd added some accessories to myself. Fiona was right back in with the cheerleaders, but this was the first time she and I were in a co-ed school, and being around boys was making her even dumber.
The football captain and I went out last night, but he never called or texted me back. I don't get it. I think he was even hiding from me in school.
Okay, how did the date go?
It was amazing, like we were meant to be. There was just one awkward moment when this weird girl came to our table and started flirting with him. And I bit her hand really hard. I'm sure she got the message that he's not interested in her. He was just too nice to say it.
You scared him off, you psycho! How about you don't act like a jealous, blood-sucking vampire next time? But she continued her serial dating and getting heartbroken, and I was getting sick of her stories. It's not like she took my advice. Other than that, school was going great. I was doing well in my classes and had even joined the drama club as a costume designer. A play was being held soon, but the main actor fell ill right before the performance. I had to make sure his understudy fit in the costume, but I didn't even recognize him. I ran frantically through the dressing room shouting, "Hey! Is there anyone named Skylar here?"
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, I need you to take off your clothes right now. He grinned, and I blushed as people around us started laughing. I didn't... Okay, wait. Let me start over. You need to try this on right now, and I have to make sure this fits you. I'm the costume person, not a pervert.
I know, I've seen you around, Layla. Right. I'll just change into this and be right back.
This Skylar was freaking cute, and he knew my name. His shirt was missing a button, and my heart was skipping beats as I stitched it on. There! You're all set!
Thanks, Layla. Wish me luck!
Break your legs! A leg? Only one? Single! Just a figure of speech, anyway. Ugh, gosh, I sounded dumber than Fiona. So I was quite surprised when Skylar came and sat next to me at recess the next day. He was funny and sweet, and I was having a great time talking to him.
By the way, I'm part of the student council, and currently we're deciding on a theme for the homecoming dance. Any ideas? I can never think of anything other than sports themes.
If you like sports, maybe you could do the Scottish Highland Games.
Wow, I love Scottish stuff. This is a really good idea. Thanks, Layla.
Just then, Fiona dropped her butt right next to him.
Mind if I join your table? I'm Fiona, Layla's sister.
Don't mind at all.
Also, I couldn't help overhearing your conversation. Homecoming is all about the football games. We should totally do a varsity theme. I'll wear my cheerleading outfit. It'll be so cool.
I was fuming. I couldn't believe she was butting herself into this too. Didn't she have enough guys to date? They just couldn't let me be happy. I spent the rest of lunch just sitting there and listening to them talk about school sports. A couple of weeks passed, and neither Skylar nor Fiona talked to me. But I was busy with my studies and my friends, and I was happy for a change. I wasn't going to be bothered by some guy I barely knew. But then one day, Skylar stopped me in the hall on the way to class.
Hey Layla, wait up. Sorry, I haven't been around much. I've been super busy getting everything ready for homecoming week.
Oh yeah, it's whatever. I've been really busy too.
Well, I hope you're not too busy to maybe go to the dance with me. I mean, if you aren't going with anyone else.
The dance? With you? I'd love to.
Great, I'll meet you there.
I couldn't believe it. No teasing, new friends, and even a date to homecoming? I was practically skipping everywhere the rest of the day until I got home.
Word around school is that Skylar asked you to homecoming?
Yeah, and?
Well, I'm here to tell you that he isn't going with you. He is going with me.
Says who?
Says this.
She held up her phone and showed me the picture she had taken of me in a kilt with my bright red hair. Hey, get rid of that!
Tell him you can't go with him, or I show this picture to the entire school.
No, don't you dare!
It's up to you.
Fine. I didn't want to go to that stupid dance anyway. The next day at school, I told Skylar I wasn't going to go to the dance with him. He tried to change my mind, but there was no way I was going to let him see that picture of me. He looked a bit hurt, and I felt awful, but I didn't have a choice. The night of the dance, I tried to stay home. But the thought of Fiona laughing and having fun with Skylar made me feel like I might explode. I quickly got ready, then sped my car to the dance. I burst through the doors and saw Fiona dancing, surrounded by her friends. But I didn't see Skylar anywhere. Just then, there was a hand on my shoulder.
Layla, I thought you couldn't make it.
Yeah, me too, 'cause I was scared.
Scared of what?
Of you finding out the truth. Fiona was beside us with her phone in her hand. Within a few seconds, everyone's phones were going off, including Skylar's. He pulled it out of his pocket and opened a message. And there was that picture of me. She had sent it to everyone.
Wait, is that you, Layla?
You know what? Yeah, that is me. I dyed my hair black, but it's actually red as a tomato. And if you hate it, then you're all just shallow and stupid.
Hate it? I love it.
What? What?
Layla, you're cool the way you are.
So are you. May I have this dance? You may just give me 1 second, though. Listen, you bimbo. I've kept putting up with you and making excuses for your behavior, but I've had enough. You tried your best to humiliate me, but it was an epic failure, so in your face. Now please get a life and act less desperate, and I'm sure you'll be able to land a boyfriend with the same IQ as you. Just leave me alone, okay? That weekend, I took the dye out of my hair, and Fiona dyed hers red. But it wasn't real, not like mine. I was beautifully red-headed and very happy to be me. Hi, I'm Lily, and I'm your typical high school nerd. Except I have a very big secret. Want to know more? Stick around. And yeah, like and subscribe to my channel. I lived with my parents and twin sister, Catherine. During my upbringing, I was an extremely quiet child and mostly stayed to myself. I read books and achieved perfect grades. However, Catherine was entirely different. She was the school's queen bee, exceptionally beautiful. And each week, she would date a new boy who would instantly fall for her.
You are so perfect, Catherine. I love you.
Aw, sweetie, you're not too bad yourself. I love your smile.
I love your smile and your eyes and your perfect little hands. I love everything about you.
Can you guys go and be irritating somewhere else? I'm trying to do my homework and your sweet talk is making me queasy.
Are we making you jealous? Because honestly, the only guy you'd ever kiss is your stuffed panda.
At least he's permanent. Unlike the losers you date for 2 weeks, then dump and file restraining orders against because they end up stalking you. I wonder what will become of this new arm candy. A piece of advice, lover boy. Run before it's too late. Catherine threw a cushion at my head and left, and I couldn't help but giggle. But she wasn't entirely wrong. I was a bit envious of her. Even though I was smarter and more composed than Catherine, I was always known as the other twin or the nerdy one. No guy ever gave me the same kind of attention as Catherine. Well, no one except Sid. He was the spoiled son of a wealthy industrialist and was really popular for his silly pranks in school. The first time I saw him was on the first day of high school when he rollerbladed into me in the school hallway, and we both landed on our butts.
Wow! I've never seen anyone like you before.
Really?
Of course. I mean, how many people can be as stupid and blind as you are? You've got to be someone special.
Excuse me, but you crashed into me. You should be apologizing.
You're right. Where are my manners? I'm sorry for calling you blind. 'Cause you also have an incredibly twitchy face, and you sound like a pregnant horse when you talk. Now I know I'm very handsome, and you'd rather spend your day staring at me, but I'm late for class.
And Sid just pushed past me and left. I was hoping to never run into him again. But then I walked into the class, and the teacher introduced him as the new student. To make things worse, she appointed me as his student tutor to bring him up to date with the classes. Later, as I sat with Sid in the library, I saw him staring at me funny.
You must be so happy.
What makes you say that?
Come on. I saw how you were staring at me in the hallway. You like me, and it's cool. So how about we ditch these books and make out?
How about I punch your face and fracture your nose?
My plan's better.
Sid slid to my side and our faces were inches apart.
Do you always smell like this?
Like what?
Like a mix of poop and garlic. Your breath stinks.
What the heck? I thought with time, Sid would find a new target. But a whole year went by and he only got more annoying in my locker and it chewed all my books. And another time, Sid pulled out a fake snake from his bag and threw it in my face in the middle of a chemistry class. I got spooked, tripped, and crashed into a table full of chemicals. We couldn't enter the lab for a whole week thanks to the smell of rotten eggs. But despite everything, I had one thing going on right. My secret matchmaking website. I was Mrs. Cupid, famous for giving advice to anonymous kids who are suffering in their love life. Dear Miss Cupid, I have a crush on this mega hot chick. But since she's the most popular girl in school, she never notices me. How do I get her to date me? Dear Agent Hot Abs, I'm sorry, but the only way you'll get a girl like that to date you is in your dreams. But try the math club, drama club, and polar bear rides club. You've got a lot of pretty girls in there. And a month later, Agent Hot Abs confirmed that he was dating a theater club girl. Another time, I got an email from the bimbo babe. Dear Miss Cupid, I want a boyfriend, but I don't want to sound too desperate. What should I do? Dear Bimbo. Babe, if you're writing this email, it means you're already desperate. And something about your name tells me you're not too smart either. Try searching the library for some hot geeks. This way you can find a date and maybe learn a thing or two. Win-win. Dating someone too. Another score for Miss Cupid. I'm making your dreams come true.
There you are!
I jumped in shock as Sid walked up from behind me and I shut my laptop.
What you hiding on that computer? Are you stalking me on Instagram? I knew it. You have a crush on me.
I don't! Now stop snooping around and leave!
Not so soon.
Sid snatched the laptop from my hand. I tried to get it back, but that sleazebag wouldn't let go. Finally, the laptop fell on the ground and the screen flew open.
No way! You're Mrs. Cupid! You give advice to corny teenagers. Oh my god, I'm dying. I think I might have coughed up a lung.
Shut up, you moron! And yeah, I am Mrs. Cupid, but if you tell anybody, I swear I will end you.
I won't tell anyone if you agree to set me up with someone. I know you're probably wondering why a hot guy like me would need your help, but I want to see how good you are.
I'd rather eat a bag of worms than help you. Suddenly, Sid ran out of the door and screamed into the school hallway.
Hey everybody, our grand school Mandy Mrs. Cupid is none other than...
I covered his mouth and yanked him back into the classroom. Why are you doing this? You haven't dated a single girl this whole year and now suddenly you want a girlfriend?
Maybe I'm bored and this could be a welcome change. Now, do we have a deal?
Ugh, I hate this, but fine. I'll find a date for you. And if you two hit it off, you have to promise to permanently get off my back.
Whatever you say, princess.
I know it was probably the worst idea to help Sid, but I also didn't want anyone to find out I was Miss Cupid. It was the one good thing in my life. I wasn't going to let all my hard work go down the drain. So I sat up all night trying to find the perfect match for Sid. And the next day, I arranged a few dates for Sid, but they all ended up in massive disasters.
Have you seen my new rubber chicken collection?
Your what?
Rubber chicken, you know, the one you squeeze and it makes a sound. Let me show you an example.
I'm a dorky chick.
Okay. Actually, I just remembered I have to take my cat for a manicure. See you around.
And we never saw her again. The next day, Sid met another girl at a burger joint and sneakily placed his dumb rubber chicken in her food. Just as she took a bite, the toy made a sound and she almost passed out. This happened a few more times before I finally lost my mind and cornered Sid. What's the matter with you? And what's with this stupid obsession with rubber chickens?
What? I really like them. And if I can't share my passion, what's even the point of having a girlfriend?
If you really want this to work, you've got to step up your date game. Carrying chicken toys to dates is not how you woo a girl.
Really? Then how do you woo a girl?
Sid came closer, staring into my eyes, and for a second I forgot how to breathe. But then he just pulled my laptop closer and stared at the screen.
Oh, this one sounds interesting. Dear Cupid Lovelock, I'm tired of dating the same guy over and over again. Find me someone different. Bored Anonymous.
Yeah, cool. Now sit back and let me work my magic. I texted Bored Anonymous that the boy she was looking for would meet her in the library with a red book in hand. And the next day, Sid sat at the desk with the book while I hid behind the wall waiting for Bored Anonymous to show up. I almost threw up when I saw Catherine walk in and she went straight to Sid. She was Bored Anonymous.
Mind if I take this seat?
I don't see why not.
Catherine pulled out a chair and I waited for Sid to do something stupid. But surprisingly, they got along really well. They were cracking up at Sid's jokes and Sid was blushing like a stupid girl. And weirdly enough, I started feeling kinda jealous watching them together. I was still lost in my thoughts when Sid walked over.
That went well.
You don't actually think you can date my sister, do you?
Why? Catherine is fun, cool, and pretty to look at. Why should I not date her?
Because you guys are totally different and she's known to crush boys and walk all over them.
That was before she met me. I'm gonna steal her heart and she won't know what hit her. In fact, she just asked me to be her date at this super cool party, and I think I'm going to go.
Guess what? I'll be there too, with my boyfriend.
You know you can't bring an imaginary person to a party, right?
He's not imaginary. He's a very real person, you'll see.
I can't wait!
Neither can I. And yeah, don't forget your rubber chickens. I walked away feeling kind of miserable. I had less than 5 hours to find myself a boyfriend. So I just asked one of the guys from the chemistry class to be my date, and he said yes. The party was nice and I was having a good time until Sid showed up with Catherine on his arm and sat right next to me and my date.
Oh, my sweet honey buns, I could stare into your eyes forever.
I can stare deeper.
I can stare into your soul and I can say you're an angel.
That doesn't even make any sense.
It's a metaphor.
It's stupid. Are you two done? Because I want to dance. Sid, come on. We'll join you.
But I don't know how to dance.
Just follow my lead. I dragged my date, but he kept missing steps. Banged into a bunch of people. At one point, he stomped on my feet so bad I had to sit down with an ice pack. I didn't see Sid and Catherine after that, and the next day they were officially dating. Sid was so lost in Catherine's love, he didn't pay any attention to me. No pranks, no rude comments, not even a glance, and it made me so mad. But I knew it was only a matter of days till Catherine would dump Sid. Despite our weird relationship, he was kinda the only friend I had, and I didn't want him to end up hating me after Catherine dumped him. so I tried talking to Catherine about it.
So you and Sid, huh? When are you dumping him?
Not this time. I actually like this guy, and I think I'm gonna stick around.
But he's so uncultured and weird. And I might warn you, he has an unhealthy obsession with rubber chicken toys. It's bizarre.
So he's a funny guy. And why are you so interested in Sid anyway? You never paid attention to the guys I've dated in the past.
I'm just looking out for you.
Yeah, right. Stop prying and mind your own business.
Catherine catwalked her way out of the room, and I kept thinking about what she said. Why was it bothering me so much that Sid was dating Catherine? Did I have feelings for him? Oh no. Yuck. I just shoved whatever stupid thoughts I had aside and decided to focus on my studies. But my concentration was all over the place. Then one day I was in the library breaking my head over some complicated math equation when someone pulled my notebook. Sid, give that back.
I will when you tell me. Why are you so mad at me?
Why would I be mad at you? Do I look mad at you? You and I are not friends. That I'll be mad enough to be mad at you, that'll be madness. And I'm not that mad. I grabbed my book and turned to leave, but Sid got in the way.
I'm not done talking. Did you tell Catherine that I'm uncultured and weird?
Maybe.
Why?
Because it's the truth. You are weird and creepy, and you don't care about anyone's feelings. Remember how you chased me around for a year saying the stupidest things? And now that you have a girlfriend, it's like I don't even exist.
I thought you wanted me to back off, and now you're bothered by it. What do you want, Lily?
Don't know. Okay, maybe I'm just mad at you for not even saying a thank you. If not for me, Catherine would never date a rubber chicken-loving brat like you.
Fine, thank you. Happy now? Anyway, I came here to ask your opinion on this necklace I got for Catherine for prom, but I guess it was a stupid mistake.
Glad to know that. There's something you can figure out on your own. Sid and I didn't talk after that. And I just spent most of my days locked up in my room, eating tubs of ice cream and watching Luna Avatar. Watching these stories made me realize how stupid I was to chase a guy who didn't even like me. So I decided to keep my self-respect and forget about Sid, even though it broke my heart. Then, a few days later, it was prom, and I decided not to go. I was casually sitting in my living room when I heard a car pull up in the driveway. I peeked outside the window and saw Catherine kissing some guy who looked nothing like Sid. What the heck was that?
It's called none of your business.
No, it's called cheating. You're dating Sid, remember? Your boyfriend? Ex-boyfriend, I've decided to dump him. So he doesn't actually know? Catherine, he genuinely likes you.
Well, they all do. I'm literally perfect. But you know me. I get bored so easily. And this Sid was a total freak. He keeps annoying me with those stupid rubber chicken toys, and all he ever did was joke and talk and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I can just drop him a text now.
Catherine pulled out her phone, but I just snatched it and threw it away. And then I pounced on her like a wild cat, while she struggled to push me away. Finally, my parents walked in and threw me off. I can't believe I thought you're capable of changing. I should have fought harder for Sid. I should have just asked him not to date you when I figured you were bored.
How did you... Miss Cupid? Oh my god, you liar! I should have known it was you. Only someone too lame to get a boyfriend would have so much time to find boyfriends for others.
You're calling me a liar? What about you, you cheating, backstabbing witch?
At least I have a life. All you have is this desperate attempt to save your sanity.
I will kick your butt like a bazooka. I charged at Catherine one more time, but before I could grab her, Dad screamed at us to stop. Then suddenly he fell to the ground unconscious. We immediately called 911 and took him to the hospital. Apparently, Dad had been under tremendous work stress that impacted his heart, and now he needed immediate surgery. But it was really expensive, and we didn't have that kind of money. Mom had some savings, but it wasn't enough. So Catherine asked her friends for help, but she was only met with more closed doors. We were running out of options when the nurse told us that someone had paid our bill in full. What? Who? The donor wants to keep his name anonymous. Sorry. With the bill being finally paid, Dad went into surgery, and thankfully it was successful. I was happy and I couldn't stop thinking about this anonymous donor. So I waited for everyone to sleep and then slowly made my way to the computer in the reception area. I typed in Dad's name and the bill had no name, but it did have a number. Sid's. Sid paid the bill. I can't believe this. He must really like you a lot.
I don't think he did this for me, dummy. I've seen the way he looks at you. He likes you. And I definitely know you like him.
Sorry about that.
Don't worry. Now go before it's too late. Yeah, don't ask Miss Cupid for help. She kind of sucks.
I smiled and rushed out of the hospital. But it was too late at night and I couldn't find a cab. Disappointed, I was headed back to the hospital when I noticed a car in the parking lot and Sid sleeping inside it. I walked over and banged on the window.
What? What? I have a weapon! Lily?
Sid stepped out of the car, and I immediately hugged him. Thank you for saving my dad. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't stepped in. But what are you doing in the parking lot?
I stuck around in case you needed more help. Listen, Lily, there's something you should know. I like you. I was stupid to be playing games with you to begin with, but I thought you weren't interested in me. I started dating your sister to get some reaction out of you, and I did get a bit infatuated with her, but I started seeing her true color soon enough, before she even dumped me. I know I was crazy, and should have just told you I like you in the first place, but...
Hey, I like you too! Always have. But I needed you to date Catherine to finally see that.
Guess we both kinda messed up.
We can still make it, right?
I'd like that.
Sid leaned in, and I was sure he was going to kiss me this time. But instead, he handed me a rubber chicken. You really know how to woo a girl?
Hey friends, I'm Elena from Moldova. Please like and subscribe. I was born in a small village to a single mother who achieved great success when she relocated to the metropolis. My mum was an entrepreneur, and every business she'd start would become a gold mine. And Mum spoiled me rotten. I just had to look at something and she'd get it for me. For my 7th birthday, I asked her if I could have a bigger swimming pool, and she had a water park installed in her backyard. My friends and I were ecstatic when we saw it. Oh, Mom, my God, Mom, you're the best!
Anything for you, dear. And don't forget the doctor's advice. Speak slowly, and you won't stutter as much.
Yeah, I used to stutter a lot when I was young. I mostly had it under control, but it could get worse when I was nervous or excited. But aside from that, my life was perfect, and everyone wished they were me. That is, until the 10th grade, when Mom's company stock crashed one day and she was left with nothing.
We were gonna lose our house!
I decided to ask my friends for help, but that's when they all revealed their true nature.
So sorry, Elena, but we're facing financial problems too.
I want to assist, but my dad works incredibly hard, and I doubt he'll give your mom any money. He always claims she got wealthy purely by chance.
Luck? My mom works really.
Your mom works really hard? I don't think so, and Dad's right. Now go away, please. We don't have all day for you to finish your sentence.
Gosh, people could change so fast. We did lose the house, and Mom decided to send me to her hometown to live with a friend for a while. Though I hated the idea of being away from her, I agreed for her sake. By the time I landed at the airport, I was already homesick. But just then I saw a boy my age holding a placard with my name. Hey, you must be here for me. Wow, it's really hot here. Wait, aren't you gonna pick up my bags?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Where are my manners? I'm Gabriel, and guess what? I'm not your servant, so pick them up yourself.
How rude! I carried my bags and followed him outside, only to find a donkey. Where's the sea car?
Gosh, you sound like a broken record. That's your ride, princess, so hop on.
That was my first experience on a donkey cart. I didn't mind, but the entire journey I felt like hitting this boy Gabriel for mocking me. Mom's friend was delightful, though. She embraced me the moment she saw me and then led me to a tiny room. This is so cute! My cat has a room just like this.
I had to leave my room for this city brat. Look, if you don't like it, you can always sleep in the basement. It's got lots of space. And pets too. A family of rats.
What a jerk. I wouldn't have lasted a day there without his amazing mom. And I mostly tried to pretend he didn't exist. A week later, I started school. And surprisingly, I made friends instantly. But soon I discovered why. All the girls wanted to know what it was like living under the same roof as Gabriel. Not great, because he's a moron.
A handsome moron!
A few days later, our school was having a football match, and I volunteered as the water girl. Gabriel was team captain, and all the girls were chanting his name.
Geez, so lame!
Sure, he was handsome, but just a little. I was so busy looking at him that I didn't notice this player trying to catch a ball, and he crashed straight into me.
Are you trying to kill me? Watch where you're going!
Great advice. I'll remember it for next time.
He just smiled like an idiot. And before running off, he winked at me. The next day, I saw the same player outside my school, with thousands of roses. As soon as he spotted me, his silly smile was back.
Hey, beautiful, these are for you. By the way, I'm Nova.
Wow, that's a lot of roses. Thanks. Nova was on the football team of another school, but he just turned up outside every day to ask me out. I kept saying no, but he wasn't taking it. And then one day at home, I saw a car pull up outside with Nova in the back seat. But just then I saw Gabriel's mum go to the car. And the driver stepped out, handed her an envelope, and left. What was that all about? Later I asked Gabriel's mum, and she told me her husband used to work for Nova's dad. And even after he was gone, the family kept helping her with money. They were even paying for Gabriel's school. Wow! That made me see Nova in a different light. So the next time he asked me out, I said yes. When Nova picked me up for our first date, he said, I was surprised. This is where you live. How do you know these people? I told him everything about why I had moved here.
I'm sorry, that sounds tough. But just be careful of that Gabriel.
What do you mean?
Gabriel's dad worked for us, and we'd play together as kids. But I always felt like he resented us, especially me. Like he hates me because I was born rich and he wasn't. I'm sure he has nothing nice to say about me, even after everything my family does for him.
I didn't have trouble believing that. Gabriel was always mocking me too, for being some rich brat. My date with Nova was totally unexpected. Instead of taking me to some fancy restaurant, he took me to a soup kitchen for the homeless, and we signed up as volunteers.
I always come here when I want to do something special. Feels good, doesn't it?
This boy was so sweet. When he dropped me back home, I found Gabriel on the porch.
Seriously? You're dating Nova? Did the rest of the male population die?
What's your problem? He's a nice guy.
Oh, yeah? So where'd you go on a date? Was it an orphanage this time? Or a pet shelter to see some poor puppies? That's the kind of stuff he does on first dates to impress girls.
I don't expect you to understand what it means to be genuinely nice.
I didn't expect you to be this dumb. But hey, you surprised me. Actually, you guys deserve each other. Two spoiled brats.
Nova was right about him. He sounded so judgy and bitter. I started going out with Nova and was having a good time, but he was always too generous with fancy dinners and gifts, which made me uncomfortable. Nova, I wish you wouldn't. I can't give you gifts like these.
I'm not expecting anything. But I can spoil my girlfriend, can't I?
He gently kissed me for the first time. And I didn't exactly feel sparks. And I felt he was falling for me much too fast. The next morning, I didn't see Gabriel or his mom anywhere. And then I found them both in her room. She was in bed with a high fever. When we called the doctor, he said she'd caught some virus. He advised us to stay home from school for 2 weeks too. I really wanted to help in some way, so I made soup for her. I was carrying it up to her room when Gabriel stopped me.
What's that?
It's soup. Mom would give this to me when I was sick.
No, thanks. You're not giving that to my mom. How would you know how to cook anything when you never had to lift a finger?
And suddenly I snapped. Gabriel, can you just shut up for once? Yeah, I used to be rich. It's not a crime, and I'm not useless and spoiled. I pushed him aside and went up with the tray. Gosh, I was so sick of him. Later at night, there was a knock on my door, and Gabriel peeked in.
I'm sorry about earlier. I shouldn't have spoken to you like that.
Yeah, you shouldn't have, but it's okay. I get that you're worried about your mom.
Yeah, but I haven't been very nice to you. I'll be better.
After that day, Gabriel and I kinda became friends. We took turns caring for his mom and doing household chores. And at night, we'd sit outside and talk for hours. He was sweet and simple and was really starting to grow on me. 2 weeks flew by and his mom recovered completely. One day, Gabriel was working in the garden while I was reading and observing how good he looked, when suddenly he spoke.
Hey, Elena, can you check if the water is coming from the hose? I don't know if it's broken or...
Just as I picked it up, water came gushing straight at my face, and Gabriel was laughing like crazy.
Gosh, you are so easy to trick.
I picked up a handful of mud as he ran off. As I was chasing him, he tripped and fell, and then I rubbed the mud all over his face.
What are you doing to her? Jerk!
Nova was about to attack Gabriel when I stopped him. Hey, we were just playing. I started it.
And why were you doing that? Did you forget I was picking you up for dinner?
You're gonna tell her what she can and can't do now.
The boys looked ready to kill each other. So I dragged Nova aside and told him to wait in the car while I cleaned up. I had totally forgotten about dinner at his place. Nova lived in a mansion with his dad, who welcomed me warmly.
You're living with Gabriel and his mom, right? His father was a close friend of mine.
Friend? Come on, Dad, he was our servant. Dad's really soft-hearted and likes helping people. Gabriel would have never gone to school if it weren't for him.
And I'm glad I helped because that boy is hardworking and will make something of himself. Unlike some entitled rich kids I know.
Just then his dad excused himself and Nova flung his plate at the wall.
This is what happens every time I bring that jerk up. Dad has always liked Gabriel more than me.
I'm sure that's not true.
Don't think I'm blind or stupid. You like Gabriel more too, don't you? You've been avoiding me for 2 weeks just to spend more time with him.
Are you crazy? I told you his mom was unwell.
Liar!
I stared at him in shock and he suddenly snapped out of his anger.
Elena, I'm sorry.
I'd like to go home, please. I felt shaken. On my way back, Nova was turning out to be really strange. And at home, Gabriel was sitting in the kitchen with an unpleasant face.
You're back early.
Were you waiting for me?
Yeah, waiting to tell you that you're an idiot for dating Nova. He's fake and horrible. Why can't you see that? Are you blinded by his expensive gifts or too impressed by his mansion?
I was gonna tell him I was breaking up with Nova, but that made me so mad. There you are. Back to being a jerk. Mind your own business, Gabriel. And don't talk to me. Gabriel and I stopped talking after that day, and I broke up with Nova too. He kept begging me to forgive him, but I held my ground. He was just too much. A few days later, Mom called me with the most amazing news. Her company was up and running again, and she wanted me to come home. I decided I'd leave right after the final exams the next week. There was nothing keeping me here. Anyway, after exam week, there was a big football match between our school and Nova's, and I made sure to sit far behind on the bleachers so he wouldn't spot me. The match was an intense one. Gabriel and Nova kept butting heads on the field and almost broke into a fight. But our team won by a large margin, and Nova stormed off the field furiously. Gabriel looked so happy, and I wanted to congratulate him. I thought I'd catch him outside the locker room. But I walked into the building to find 2 guys pinning him against the wall as Nova punched him. Stop it! Nova, don't hurt him! Nova turned to me with crazy eyes.
Oh, how worried you are now. But you didn't care when you hurt me. I know you broke up with me because you have feelings for this worm. After all that money I spent on you. I thought because you were rich once you'd have some class, but you're just cheap.
You're a psycho. And yeah, I like Gabriel a lot. Now I understand why your dad likes him better.
You'll pay for saying that. I'll make sure Dad stops giving them any money. I'll convince him. You'll see.
No, you won't, Nova, because I've seen everything I needed to, and I am so disappointed in you.
We turned around to see Nova's dad, who'd come to see the match, and he looked furious. He grabbed Nova's arm and led him away. Gabriel, are you okay? Yours face.
I'm fine, Elena.
I should have listened to you about Nova.
No, I was unfair and mean to you, and I'm really sorry about what you said back there. Is it true?
Which part?
The part where you said you like me a lot.
Yeah, I like you. Big deal.
Like me because I like you?
I guess it's just you then. He grinned and pulled me in for a kiss, and it was perfect.
Hello, I'm Isa from Austria. Before I share my story with you, please like and subscribe to my channel. I grew up in a large mansion with my parents, grandmother, aunt, and many servants. We were wealthy, and my life was almost perfect, especially because I had the most amazing mother ever, who spoiled me endlessly. Like when I was 6 years old and didn't want to do homework at school. It was against the rules, but somehow my mom convinced the teacher to allow it. And when I was 8, I wanted a big swimming pool indoors, so my mom built a pool in the backyard big enough to fit a whole family. I loved having my mom around. She was such a kind and sweet person. but she was a little strange. You see, my mom was fascinated by all things mystical and believed she could communicate with ghosts. No one in our family thought it was a big deal until one day, when I was 10, my mom and dad had a fight, and my dad walked out.
Who needs humans when you have a million ghosts to keep you company?
You're insane! Go hug your invisible friends! I'm out of here!
After my dad left, my mom became unhinged. She became obsessed with her hobby and spent hours locked in her room, talking to herself. But one night, she lit too many candles and caused a fire that burned down half of the mansion. My grandmother was furious and demanded that my mom leave. So, my mom and I moved to a smaller place. And although we had enough to live comfortably, it was nothing compared to the life we had before. That really affected me.
Look, I bought you a new doll.
This is a rag doll, Mom, and it's so scary. Take that away from me.
But sweetie, I made this for you.
Well, you wouldn't have to waste your time if you didn't burn down my old toys.
My mom looked at me sadly before leaving, and I felt bad. But I was still a child, and I really missed my old life. I thought that eventually my mom would give up her obsession and we would move to the US to live with my grandfather. But she only became stranger. One day, an odd old woman appeared at our doorstep, looking like a witch, and offered to read our fortune.
Wow, the universe must have sent you. Please come in.
Mom and the old woman sat down and started muttering something. Halfway through, she began communicating with the spirits. The table started shaking, and my mom looked astonished.
What do the spirits want?
Oh, they're upset. So, very upset. You burnt their old house down and now they're homeless.
They are invisible, right? They can stay in the White House and no one will know.
Child, you make fun of spirits. How dare you?
The strange woman stood up and started dancing wildly, and my mom joined in. It all looked ridiculous. I couldn't stand witnessing this crazy superstition, so I left. The next day, my grandmother came for an unexpected visit. My mom told her everything that had happened.
Now I just need to find a way to please the spirits. And
I can't believe you're still looking into these things. I wanted to give you another chance, but you haven't changed a bit.
My grandmother was furious and then left, and my mom cried all night.
Why can't you just let these spirits go? Mom, I really want to move in with Nana and Papa. I miss them.
No way. You saw what happened with the medium. I'm not putting them in danger again.
So you'd rather make us live like street rats? Come on, Mom. This is not real. That weird lady medium, whatever. She was tricking you.
I'm not discussing this, Issa.
I worked hard, researching documents and books and asking my teachers. I needed to pull my mom out of this mystical world and prove to her that there are no ghosts or demons.
While she spent time and money on psychics, seminars, and meditation retreats, I did research to debunk her beliefs. There is no scientific basis for crystal healing. The Bermuda Triangle has finally been explained. Most ghost activities can be traced back to change in temperature, electromagnetic interference, or... Mom, are you listening?
Oh no, it's the unholy hour. I can't talk now. Bye.
My words didn't get through to my mom at all. Things got worse when one day I invited a few friends over for a sleepover. Everything was going well until late at night when my mom walked into my room with candles and crystals.
It's a full moon tonight. Tell me, girls, when was the last time you got a cleanse?
She made my friends and me sit in a circle while she burned incense around us. I was so embarrassed. Of course, no one wanted to come to my house after that terrifying incident. And while I couldn't invite my friends over, psychics kept showing up at her door. Some of them even became my mom's friends and stayed with us for days. I had given up hope until one day, on my way home, I heard some kids talking about a challenge at a local haunted house. And that gave me the perfect idea. If I could expose this local ghost story, maybe my mom would finally believe me. I asked the kids if I could join them, and they agreed. That night, while my mom was sleeping, I sneaked into the haunted house with the rest of the group. But 5 minutes into exploring, I heard a blood-curdling scream from an upstairs room. I followed it, only to find one of the boys in a panic.
There's something here. It knocked that vase. It's a ghost.
That's not a ghost. It's a mouse.
I picked up the mouse, and its squeaking made the boy panic even more. He let out an even louder scream and ran downstairs. The rest of the group saw him and started running around like headless chickens. One by one, they all ran outside until I was the only one left. So I sat on a dusty old couch and took a nap. The next day, rumors spread around the school that I had stayed in the haunted house all night. I became famous overnight. Soon, others wanted to join me on my ghostly adventures, so we formed a club. By the time I was 15, my paranormal investigation club had become extremely popular. I had a lot of fun with it, solving all sorts of things, including a few alien and Yeti sightings. Life was pretty good, except my mom was still a hopeless case. One day, while my mom and I were out for a meal, we walked into our usual store. I was talking to the clerk when a girl about my age walked up to me.
Bonjour. Can I show you something? Those stress lines do not look good on a pretty face like yours. How about some incense for meditation? An amethyst pendant to relieve stress.
No, thanks.
Oh, Issa, that's a cute pendant.
No, Mom, it's not. It's hideous. Let's go home, Mom.
I rushed out of the store without waiting another second. Unexpectedly, the next day at school, I ran into the girl from the store again. She was surrounded by a group of girls and was selling them some strange little bottles.
What's that?
Oh, hello, sweet Issa. You smell divine. Imed, by the way.
And Isa for you. What did you give them?
Love potions. To tingle the romantic bones that are clearly missing from your body.
Shut up! You're scamming innocent girls. They'll have to report you to the principal.
No, why don't you see for yourself first? If they don't work, you know where to find me.
After speaking, Ed winked at me and walked away. What a weirdo. Anyway, I agreed to wait a few days to see if that stupid potion would work. And, to my surprise, all the girls who used it ended up with a date with their crush. I couldn't believe it. I had to talk to Ed and saw her in the cafeteria.
I was waiting for you, pretty Issa. Some salad.
No, thanks. I don't want that. Tell me about the love potions.
It's a trade secret, obviously.
Or maybe that potion gave them a bit of confidence, and everything else was pure luck.
You can't prove that, can you?
I was furious. Looking back, all those girls were quite beautiful, but just a bit shy. Of course it worked. A few days passed and I decided to stay away from Ed. Soon enough, it was time to go to college. One night, I was packing my things to leave for school when my mom walked into my room with the amethyst pendant from the other day.
What's this for?
It's pretty. It reminds me of your eyes.
This was kind of exciting. Expensive. Mom, are you sure you can afford this?
Of course I can. And while we're talking about money, I have something to talk about.
That's when Mom told me that she actually had nothing saved for my college and suggested that I should ask my grandmother for my college fund.
There's no way they'll listen to me, but I'm sure they'll help you.
So, all these years you didn't consider that I had to go to college? How could you be so selfish?
I gave you everything you need. And I know your grandma won't hesitate to give you more money, but do you think I have any chance of getting more funds for my research?
I can't believe you're still thinking about that. Mom, you're seriously crazy. I wish I could have just left with Dad.
Don't use that tone with me, Issa.
Actually, I'd rather not use any tone with you.
Shut up, and don't forget I'm your mom.
You're the one who forgot.
I rushed out of the house feeling upset and wandered around the neighborhood. I felt like someone was watching me. I turned around and saw Ed right behind me.
What are you doing?
Trying to make sure the girl I like is safe. What are you doing, roaming around the streets at this hour?
I was just... Wait, did you say that you like me?
Well, obviously the love potion doesn't work on you, and neither do my hints, so I'll say it directly. Yes, Isa, I like you. Now tell me what's wrong. You look stressed.
I finally told her everything about my life, including my recent conversation with my mom. Surprisingly, she turned out to be a good listener.
That's tough.
I don't understand why Mom is so focused on the supernatural instead of trying to mend things with her family. It could really make our life easier, you know?
Maybe, but in her head, it's all real. I'm sure she has her reasons. She actually told my mom a while back how she heard knocking and scratching in the walls. Threatening messages appeared overnight, and she saw a white figure in her room once. This happened for years.
Oh, please. It was probably just her imagination.
Whatever it was, she's your mom, and you're the only person she can fall back on.
Maybe Ed was right. But I couldn't forgive my mom that easily. Being an irresponsible mother is a terrible thing. The next morning, I took a bus back to the mansion. Everything had completely changed. As I walked toward the entrance, I was overwhelmed with memories of my childhood. Then suddenly, I saw Aunt Mallory, my mom's younger sister. She saw me, ran over, and hugged me. "You've grown so much, my pretty Issa."
So have you. I mean, you look amazing, Auntie. How have you been?
I'm good. But why are you wearing these weird clothes? Come in, let me set you up with a beautiful dress. Aunt Mallory led me inside, and I told her about my mom's spending problems and how my college education might be disrupted. That's terrible! I knew my sister was weird, but I would have never thought she was this irresponsible. Don't worry, child. She'll take care of everything. I was overjoyed and immediately started planning for school. Ed helped me a lot with figuring things out. The more time I spent with her, the more I liked her. It was a bit strange, but at least she was there for me, unlike my mom, who still refused to return to the mansion.
I'm happy you're having a good time there, but I don't think I'm welcome there.
You won't know if you don't give it a shot. Isn't family more important than your dumb psychic research? Why can't you just listen to me for once?
You have no idea what it means to be treated like a crazy person by everyone, including your own parents.
Stop playing the Vita, Mom. You did this to yourself.
I saw my mom cry. She was hurt. But I was so tired of her behavior. I was so happy to be back at the mansion, waking up to breakfast in bed, strolling through the lush garden, and feeling like a princess once again. My college was nearby, and I even had a private driver to take me there. Life was finally perfect, but I still missed my mom a lot, and she didn't want to see me. One day, I accidentally saw the amethyst pendant that my mom had bought for me. Suddenly, I felt my eyes sting with tears. I decided to ask Ed for help.
Why don't you do what you're best known for? Solving paranormal stuff. You solved all the cases around here except that of your mother.
But that was years ago. How am I supposed to investigate that now?
You live in the mansion. Try looking around old artifacts, cold spots. Maybe something will turn up to prove that she was right, and her family will finally see that she wasn't crazy.
Even I'm not fully convinced with that, Ed. How will I convince others?
Have faith, Pradisa.
Ed took me back home, and I got to work. That night, I waited for everyone to go to sleep and then quietly snuck out of my room. I spent hours searching the library and wandering around the hallways, but nothing seemed suspicious. As I was heading back to my room, I tripped over a rock and a hidden underground door opened.
Oh, what the freaking frogs? A hidden passage!
I turned on my flashlight and walked down the dark hallway that led straight to my mom's old room. And suddenly, everything started to make sense. This door opened from the other side of the hallway. So, someone could have been sneaking into my mom's room every night and making those strange noises, even disguising themselves as a ghost to scare her. But who would do that? I was still lost in thought when a flashlight suddenly blinded me, and what I saw left me stunned.
Auntie?
Iso, what are you doing here?
Oh my god, it was you, right? You knew about this secret passage. Were you the ghost that haunted my mother?
My aunt was grinning maliciously.
What can I say? Your mom was always too stupid to figure it out. You probably took after your father.
But why, Auntie? What did Mom ever do to you?
She took everything from me. She was always the favorite child because she was younger and prettier. I did everything to get our parents' attention, but they didn't have time for me. I could still let go of that. But then she married the guy I liked, and I knew I couldn't take it anymore and worked out a plan. All I had to do was to show everyone how crazy she was. And she was stupid.
She actually fell for it. You were in love with Dad. Please tell me you didn't have anything to do with their divorce.
I may have given him evidence of your mom cheating. And while she was busy moping around, I amped up the hauntings. But the fire and everything were all her.
You hated Mom, but you helped me. Why would you do that?
To take away the last thing she had, of course.
Wow, you're evil. Wait till I tell Grandma.
You can try, but you won't if you want the funds for your college to keep coming.
Oh, don't you worry. I've learned a trick or two of my own. After all, we are related by blood.
I recorded the conversation, and my aunt was stunned when she realized it. She tried to grab my phone, but I quickly ran out of the house. The next day, I asked my mom to come over and showed her and my dad the video. They were shocked and decided to kick my aunt out right then and there.
I'm so sorry, Mom, for never believing you.
I didn't give you a reason to trust me either, sweetie. So I guess it's a new start for us both.
My grandparents apologized to Mom. They asked Mom to move back in, but she just looked at me with sad eyes.
I wish you could have trusted me instead of thinking I was crazy. It will take a while to forgive you guys, but Isa, I leave it up to you.
It's okay, Mom. Let's go home.
She felt guilty and continued to support my college education. My mom and I still live in our small house, and we are closer than ever.
Hello, I'm Lelia, and I have the scariest story to tell you. But first, please like and subscribe. I was adopted by my grandmother when I was 8 years old. She always had the best stories and baked fresh chocolate chip cookies every day. She loved me dearly, and life went on until one day she went out, was hit by a passing car, and died on the spot. She left me with an endless sadness. Sometime later, I was sent to live with my wealthy uncle. He was a businessman, and with him, I had quite a good time. But shortly after that, my uncle's business began to have problems. He went bankrupt and then lost his home. So I was moved to my aunt's house. She was great and even had a very cute cat. The three of us were happy together. Well, until the cat was also hit by a car and didn't make it. After facing 2 consecutive shocks, my aunt fell ill, then fled to Paris to heal her broken heart, leaving me without any relatives. I ended up in an orphanage. It wasn't too bad there, but I couldn't even make friends with anyone. But then, they all got adopted, and I was the only one left behind.
Don't be disheartened, Lelia. I'm sure there's a perfectly good family waiting for you out there.
With my luck, I really doubt it.
I had believed that I was just an unlucky person, destined to be lonely. And as time went by, my hope of finding a family also faded away. But then, a week after my 18th birthday, something unexpected happened. The warden called me into the office and told me that a family wanted to adopt me, and that I had to go to their house that very night. I found it strange because the family hadn't even met me. But the warden said they had reviewed my profile and made their decision. As I packed my things to leave, my heart filled with joy at the thought of having a family of my own. But when I arrived at the provided address, my heart sank. It hurt. It was a rundown inn located next to a cemetery. The gates were tall and rusty, the windows large and cracked, and the walls covered in mold. The place looked absolutely terrifying. Just then, the front door creaked open, and a woman stepped out, looking like she was dressed up for a Halloween party.
Hello. You must be Lillian. I'm Mrs. Edwards. I'm sorry we couldn't come to pick you up. My husband and I had a little emergency.
That's okay, it wasn't.
Shh. Do you smell that? Looks like it's going to rain any second. Why don't you get your stuff inside and I'll show you around? Oh, did I say how happy I am to see you? I would smile, but I have this condition where my face muscles don't flex the same way anymore. Come now.
Ms. Edwards led me inside the house just seconds before the sky opened up and rain poured down heavily. She gave me a tour of the inn, and the inside was just as creepy as the outside. Then we went into the living room, where I met her husband, who looked just as strange as she did. And then, just as I was about to sit down at the dining table, a girl suddenly appeared out of nowhere and pushed me aside.
You can't sit here, you ugly toad!
Why not? It's empty.
Don't talk back to me! My house! My rules!
Ivy, can you please calm down? Ilya, why don't you sit next to me, dear? Now, Ivy, greet your sister nicely. We must make her feel welcome.
She is not welcome, and she is not my sister!
Ivy was extremely angry and ran back to her room, slamming the door shut. Mrs. Edwards could only sigh, and Mr. Edwards just shook his head apologetically. After that, she led me to my room, which had a view of the cursed cemetery. I was terrified. I couldn't sleep at all. Eventually, I got up to get a glass of water. But I still saw Ivy and her parents in the living room. I stopped and listened to their conversation.
What's the matter with you? Lelia must have felt so bad and unwelcome.
And how do you think I feel about this stranger living in my house?
We thought it would be nice for you to have some company.
I told you 100 times, I don't need company. I just want her gone.
I left there feeling sad. I still couldn't escape my unlucky fate. No matter where I went, I wasn't welcomed. The next morning, I was quite ready to return to the orphanage, but instead, Mrs. Edwards told me she would enroll me in Ivy's school. I thought I would take this opportunity to connect with her, but she was as cold as ice. Even at school, I noticed that she hardly spoke to anyone and sat alone in a corner. It felt like everyone avoided Ivy, but everyone was very nice to me, especially Jean, the class beauty. I told her about being adopted by the Edwards family, and she was so shocked she froze in place.
You're living with those whack jobs? The Edwards owned all the towns, major motels. But then guests started vanishing mysteriously. Their motels closed and they left town for a couple of years and just recently came back. Rumor has it that Mrs. Edwards practiced witchcraft and sacrificed those missing guests for some ritual.
That sounds completely ridiculous. And Mrs. Edwards seems like a perfectly nice woman.
Maybe they're just rumors, but it's not hard to see that the Edwards are an odd bunch. Just be careful.
I couldn't deny the truth. They were quite strange. First of all, I didn't know what Mr. Edwards did for a living, and he seemed to never leave the house. Mrs. Edwards only went out at night to shop or run errands. When I asked why, she excused it by saying she hated crowds, and I guessed she wanted to avoid people because the Edwards family wasn't well liked in town. I wondered why they moved back here. And there was a room in the west wing of the inn that always had a big lock on it. Once, Mrs. Edwards caught me looking at it curiously, and she told me it was off limits. One night, while I was studying late in my room, I heard someone whispering outside. A few seconds later, I looked out and saw Mrs. Edwards and Ivy walking down the hallway, and I couldn't stop myself from following them. They went up a narrow spiral staircase to the rooftop, and as I watched them from a safe distance, they held hands and closed their eyes. A few minutes later, Mrs. Edwards took out a large flashlight from the bag she was carrying, and they started flashing it in a strange pattern. A cold wind blew by, making their nightgowns flutter in the breeze, and I couldn't help but think they looked like witches. When they were done, Mrs. Edwards put the flashlight down, and the two of them hugged tightly and cried.
Do you think our message went through, Mom?
I'm sure it did, honey. I left quietly before they could spot me.
I quietly left before they could notice me. It was clear they wanted to keep this a secret, but who could they be sending messages to? What if they were summoning spirits? Was living next to the dead not bad enough? The next day at school, while I was walking into the cafeteria with Jean, I saw a group of girls surrounding Ivy and throwing food at her. I wanted to run over and help her, but Jean stopped me, and then Ivy ran away from there. I followed her to the bathroom and heard her crying inside.
Ivy, I saw what happened, and you don't have to put up with this. Come with me. Well, report it to the principal.
She rushed at me with red, teary eyes.
Why do you care? It's not like you don't think I'm a weirdo just like everyone else. I'm sure you've heard all the rumors about our family. Maybe we are weird and maybe I am crazy, and that's why I'm all alone and always will be.
No, you won't. I'll be there for you if you let me. I don't care about any rumors, and I don't believe them. I like you guys, and who cares if you're a bit weird?
Ivy looked surprised, then came over and hugged me. We reported the bullies to the principal, and after that day, she started being friendlier to me, and she was really fun to be around. We went to the mall together, shopped, and went camping together. Then one day, Mrs. Edwards took us to see her favorite horror movie, and I had a great time.
Oh my God, the way you jumped out of your seat and sent popcorn flying everywhere was hilarious.
I almost peed my pants.
And dropped soda all over me. But who's counting?
Yeah, sorry about that. Mrs. Edwards.
Just call me Mom. Mom winked at me.
It had been a long time since I felt like I had a real family. A strange family for sure, but I had a place to call home, and I was truly happy. Soon after, I even started inviting Ivy to hang out with me and Jean. And although Jean was uncomfortable being around her...
Here, I baked my very famous choco chip cookies. Why don't you try one?
Oh, sure. This is so nice. I'm gonna go and enjoy this outside while watching the flowers.
Jean got scared and left. I followed her and saw her spit out the cookie in her mouth and throw the rest into the trash.
Why did you just do that?
What if they are poisoned or have a curse on them?
Seriously?
I'm sure she wants to turn me into a toad. She keeps looking at me like she's about to break into a spell.
You sound so absurd right now. I live with her, Jean, and she's not a witch. I know she's unusual, but can you just give her a chance?
Jean was reluctant, but she eventually invited Ivy to her birthday party. The whole class was there, and we were having a great time until we heard someone scream.
My diamond necklace, it's gone. Has anyone seen it?
She continued searching the ground frantically before spotting Ivy.
You stole it, didn't you?
What? How would I?
I don't know what trick or spell you used. I just know it's you. Let her go. She didn't steal anything. I was with her the whole time. Jean, tell her.
But Jean just stood silently like a rock.
You're so spineless. We are leaving this party. Lelia, wait. No, Jean. I know you don't like Ivy, but this is way too insulting.
I took Ivy's hand, and we left. As soon as we got home, Ivy ran to her room crying, and I decided to give her some space. But that night, I went to check on her and found her bed empty. I looked everywhere and then went to the hallway with the locked room. But tonight, it wasn't locked. Feeling really curious, I tiptoed closer and gently pushed the door open to see a very feminine room in perfect condition, with Ivy sitting on the bed and a pile of things beside her.
Phone, jewelry, watches. Ivy? What's all this?
Ivy looked up at me furiously and started stuffing them all into a bag.
You have no business being here. Get out!
Not till you explain why you have a stash of things that clearly don't belong to you. A bunch of kids and teachers have been reporting things going missing from their lockers. You took them?
Shut up and go away!
I just offended you and walked out of a party because someone accused you of theft. Why would you do something so awkward?
You don't really know me or anything about my life. So don't judge me. And I said, get out!
Ivy went mad and lunged at me, hitting me. Hearing the noise, Mr. and Mrs. Edwards rushed over and pulled her away. When I told them about the stolen items, they looked horrified. They told me they would return everything to the school and then went into Ivy's room, closing the door behind them, leaving me standing there. But I tiptoed closer to Ivy's closed door and pressed my ear against it.
I know it was wrong, but I had to do something. What if Lelia reports me to the police?
Honey, also, I'll talk to the warden and see what we can do.
A warden? Like the warden at my orphanage? Oh no, they're going to send me back. Is my bad luck still haunting me? I don't want to go back there. Definitely not. So, I packed my things and ran away. I kept walking, and in a daze, a big car hit me straight on. I fell back and my head hit the ground hard. I saw my grandmother and the little kitten. Maybe I was dead. And then, I faded into darkness. When I opened my eyes, I was in a hospital, surrounded by Mrs. Edwards and Ivy.
What happened? Why am I here?
Oh, thank God you're awake. You hit your head and fell into a coma, Lily. It took us days to find you. What were you thinking, running away like that?
I heard you and Ivy the night I left, and you said that you were gonna talk to the warden. I didn't want to go back to the orphanage, so I ran away before you could send me.
What? We weren't talking about the orphanage. Mom was saying she talked to the jail warden about arranging a visit. I guess I should start from the beginning.
It turned out that Ivy had a brother named James, who was 8 years older than me and currently in prison.
James got involved with a bad group of friends in college and eventually got caught in a major drug trafficking case. He was sentenced to life in prison, and he was transferred to a prison here, right across from the cemetery. So we moved back here.
And the rumors about the guests disappearing?
Just our competitors' tricks to give us a bad reputation.
And those stolen things?
We stole them because I wanted to save up to get some really good lawyers. Those who can help him may be granted leniency. Mom and Dad didn't have any money.
Also, some time ago, I saw you two on the rooftop flashing some lights.
We were sending James a birthday message using Morse code. He can see the lights from her prison window.
Why didn't any of you tell me all this?
I just hadn't felt ready to share it. I was getting there, though. You're the first person I've gotten close to since James. And even though I stole that stuff from school, I swear I didn't steal that girl's diamond necklace at the party.
We should have been honest with you, Lelia. But we get judged a lot already. And I understand if you don't want to live with us anymore. We can help you look for a better family.
No, I'm not going anywhere. I like my weird, secretive family, as long as I'm in on all the secrets, too.